Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Today we're jumping into politics because why not? I mean, we talk about all kinds of stuff on here, and I know we're going to start here, but we're going to end somewhere else. So, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about all the crazy stuff that's going on between the United States and apparently Canada. I had no idea until Ashley told me. So, we're going to chat about it because why not? So, in case we haven't met, my name is Karen.
And my name is Ashley. And yeah, it's pretty funny because essentially we're going to war. And
This is
yeah,
news to me. I had no idea.
yeah. Well, and that's what the thing is on TikTok is that United States citizens have no idea.
Mm-mm.
And Canadians are like taking up arms. And so and a lot of people are like, well, the best thing about this is that the US is bringing Canada together and like Canada is like banding together. And it's like this huge, huge thing right now. So yeah,
Yeah, I
like
mean, it's kind of crazy though, because so you were talking about how basically the reason that they're doing this is because of all the tariffs that our current president is enforcing. And the thing that's crazy is that now, like, they're not upset with Trump, they're upset with the United States. That's confusing to me.
no, well, definitely upset with Trump,
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And but upset with Trump, but then taking it out on everyone American.
Right.
And
That's
like
really
that doesn't
ridiculous.
make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so and like so there's so many like things about this that don't make sense to me.
Mm,
Like so first off, um our carbon tax like and like other taxes that our actual government imposes on us are significantly more than any of the tariffs.
mm,
And so it's like we're getting all worked up about the US doing this, but our own government is doing significantly worse to us. Like we are
mm,
taxed a lot right
mm.
now.
Yeah.
It is insane. And but we're all up in arms about the tariffs from the US. So like they've taken US products off our shelves, like grocery stores, especially liquor stores, like the liquor stores are like bare, like there's no wine because it's
That's
all coming from the US.
crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
And yeah, it's insane. And it's like it's not logical either. Like we've already paid for this alcohol. Like the liquor
Mhm.
stores have already bought the liquor and put it in their stores. Like I can understand like maybe not restocking, but like they have taken it off their shelves. And I'll see posts on Facebook about like, I understand everyone hates US products, but like I don't want to be reamed out in a grocery store for buying something. And this
Right.
one mom was buying something that her kid has like tons and tons of allergies, and there's like one thing she needs for most of her nutrition. And she
Mm,
was buying it like locally where I live.
mm,
And she's like, I had an older lady yell at me for buying it because it was a US product.
mm.
And it's just like, wow. And then for me, I was just at my grandma's house last week, it would have been. And I had bought, she's like, oh, go buy some celery. And I grabbed celery. It's like small, small town. Like there's three roads in this freaking town.
Mm.
And there's one celery option. And I came home and she's like, Ashley, what are you doing? It says Product of USA on it. And I'm like, Grandma, it's fine. It's
It's
fine.
gonna be just fine. Yeah.
And I'm like, it was that or nothing. And we want celery, so we're gonna eat
Yeah,
it. It's gonna be okay.
exactly.
And yeah, it's a big deal. And
Yeah.
it's also funny because I've seen some people like that are like really like, does this really have to be happening? Be like, okay, are you guys boycotting all the like United States made movies and TV shows and music
Exactly.
artists?
Yeah.
Like it's so like irrational.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the thing though. So you were talking about all the tariffs that your country already has, right? And then
Well,
adding
taxes, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
adding these on top of it, right? So it's kind of like it reminds me of like the frog in the boiling water compared to heating up the water slowly. So the taxes that you guys have had for so long, we've just heated it up slowly. And so now the
Mhm.
frog is dead. And it's kind of like, well, it is what it is, right? Everybody's just over that. Like, there's nothing they can do, or they've decided there's nothing they can do. But then when it
Yeah.
comes to these new tariffs that are coming through, it's like, Why? Like it's literally we've put a frog in the boiling water and the frog jumped out already, but everybody's still pissed off, right? So it's the same, it's that concept of like this whole like new stuff can really throw us for a loop, let's be honest. And this kind of like it's funny that we're about to talk about this, but my dog, like we recently went on vacation and my dog he's getting older. He's got some dementia. And since we've come back, he's been walking into walls more. He's been doing things like he reminds me of a patient that I would work with when I worked in senior psych, and they were just all very confused and walking in circles, and their brain just doesn't work. But like, it's like um, that change, like
Mhm.
us leaving on vacation, that quick change like created like this massive change in him, right? Whereas it's the same thing with you guys where it's like this quick change just created so much distress and overwhelm where there has been stuff going on all the whole time, right? So with my dog, he's had dementia the whole time, right? This isn't a
Yeah.
new thing, but it just got worse
Yeah.
suddenly because it was like there was a magnifying glass on the fact that we as his owners had left him, and now it's like, oh no, now what do I do kind of thing. And it's the same concept, the exact same thing. So I don't know any animal, person, anything that just absolutely loves big, massive changes. I'm not talking about like the macroscopic things, like the
Mhm.
day-to-day changes that can happen, like I'm going to change what I'm wearing today or that kind of thing. But the big
Mhm.
changes can really throw us for a loop, no matter who you are, because it's like, ooh, like that doesn't feel good. That's not what I'm used to. And it kind of goes back to the whole concept of our body and our mind are so subconsciously programmed that when something in our environment changes, we we don't have to, but we can go into a state of fight or flight. And that's what I see happening right now, you know? So,
Well, I think like the media and like to me the powers to be are really targeting
mm,
Trump as a person to hate.
hmm
And maybe I'm completely wrong about what his agenda is. But I think he is ruffling a lot of feathers because he's exposing a lot of fraudulent stuff, a lot of toxic stuff that the world has believed the lies to for so long. And that's my personal take on it. And so then the powers that be that control the media are like, oh, we have to make this guy look awful because he's about to fuck us, like massively fuck us. And so it makes it really easy to demonize him in the media. And then when he's doing things like that, they're it's extra demonizing as well.
mm,
But it's that whole thing where like the best way to rule is to create diversity, you know?
mm,
Like when we can't come together over something, like we want to be fighting. And like US has always been our greatest ally. So why are we
mm,
now creating diversity between the two of us? And then even like within ourselves, like there's so much diversity between do you agree with Trump or disagree with Trump?
yeah.
The people that agree with Trump are like myself, who think that he's shining a light in darkness, and we need it. Like it is so long overdue. And is he going to make no mistakes? Probably not. He's probably going to make tons,
Oh, he's
you
already
know?
made a lot that make me kind of scratch my head. So it's fine.
Yeah. And so you can't win with everyone and
Mm-mm,
everything, but I definitely think that it's what he's doing is needed. And then there's other people that are talking about how he's trying to trigger people into starting a war with him. So he's going to trigger Canada into starting a war with him. He's going to trigger Saudi Arabia into a war with him. I'm just naming random countries. I have no idea. I
mm,
all I know is that Canada literally thinks we're about to go to war with him.
mm.
But there's people that are saying he's going to trigger wars with countries like Mexico and Canada, and then he's going to be able to declare martial law and then never be able to get voted out until the war's over, and wars last long periods of time. And so then he's going to be able to sit pretty as a president in a dictatorship for a long time.
Yeah,
And
so I will
those
say
are the
that
two spectrums.
that is something he said on his first term through, is that he wanted to get rid of the two-term policy. And so that I do know is something that he still wants to do. He wants to be president for the rest of his life, basically.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
know that that's a thing in his brain. So will that
Yeah.
happen? Probably not. But
Yeah.
I will say there are some weird things he's done. So is there good things that he can do? Absolutely. Are there good things that he can do, especially for business, because he is a business minded kind of guy? Absolutely. Do I think that he can help the United States as a business with our debt? That makes zero sense, 100%. But then there's some weird things that he's doing also, like changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Why the fuck do we need that? The thing that worries me about him is that he's very smart. Like, I would never, he's super tactical in how he's doing things. So it makes me wonder, what is the agenda behind the agenda? That's
Mhm.
the thing that worries me the most about him,
Yeah.
because do I think that he has um interest for helping the United States? Yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes I scratch my head at what's the agenda behind the agenda of what he's doing. Like, this is a smoke screen. Like,
Yeah.
why is he getting us mad about changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? Like, what is he doing behind the scenes that I don't know about? That's the
Yeah.
thing that I've always worried about with any politician. What are they
Mhm.
doing? It doesn't matter who you are or how I think you might be a good person. I don't know you. And so I
Yeah.
don't really know a lot of politicians that on the outside, it always looks as though they are out for number one, and number one
Yeah.
meaning themselves.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, I always am very hesitant to put any trust in any one politician, just because
Yeah.
of that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So he
Oh, for
he he
sure.
scares me in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways I'm like, "Oh, it could be really good." So for me, I'm kind of at the 50-50 point. I don't like how he deals with people. I do think that he can be a total jackass when it comes to different races, females, all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, I do think that getting our national debt in check makes sense too, you know? So for me, he's a wild card. I can never figure him out, and I think that's kind of his point. Right?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't necessarily want you to figure him out. He's always going to have some sort of smoke screen up that
Mhm.
confuses you so that he can
Mhm.
do whatever he needs to do behind the scenes. So that's what
Yeah.
scares me about him.
And I think that it's like all politics, really, like
Absolutely.
I think and so is he like, so my stereotypical, like, he's a billionaire boomer,
Mm.
of course he's self-centered, of course he's
Yeah.
egotist,
Yeah.
and so to me, the Gulf of Mexico being changed to the Gulf of America, that could just be an egotistical thing. Who
It
fucking
really could
knows?
be. Yeah. I don't know.
And so, yeah, and I guess for me, because he's shining the light in the darkness, I'm more ready to trust him than I have been to trust other politicians. And um, for me, like, I don't know if you ever read the book. I know I talked to you about it years ago, but Talking with Strangers by
Yeah,
Malcolm
I read
Gladwell.
that. I loved that book. Yeah, so good.
It's yeah, for anyone listening, go get that book on audio. I don't know if you read it or
No,
listened
I
to it.
listened to it because you told me to. And so I'm
Yes.
like, if somebody's gonna tell me, this is how I work. You probably know this by now. If somebody's really excited about something and they're like,
Yeah.
no, you have to do it this way, I'm gonna do it that way, because I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
want to experience it the way that got them excited, and then after that I can make my personal decision about it.
Yeah.
But I totally
That,
agreed after listening. I was like, oh yeah, I can see why she had me listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that book is the best book I've ever listened to.
Mm,
So best read, no, but best book I've ever listened to.
mm,
And yeah, I loved it. And it talks about how you can't trust anyone. Like humans are literally designed, or you can't really know. Like we are designed to be trusting, and we are not designed to see like typical red flags. And it's a
mm,
really, really interesting read about how um yeah, we don't know how to do that because we're wired for trust.
mm,
And so anyways, a little off tangent there, but yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how people are able to be so easily influenced when there's something like this happening. Like there's
mm.
so many injustices in the world, like so many
Yeah.
issues, so
Yeah.
many. And then like I literally could probably talk for days and weeks and years, and maybe I will one day, about all the injustices that need to go away
Mm,
that I don't agree with. Like our world is full of corruption. And for people to be getting so up in arms about this, like Trump and Elon Musk, like it's insane. I literally read a comment today in like a Kelowna rant and rave about Teslas, and like this one lady commented being like, "Oh yeah, I bought a Tesla 5 years ago. I had no idea it was going to be such an awful symbol from the devil. I'm trying to sell it, but I'm going to lose so much money,
oh
but
my God.
I can't drive around a vehicle that's creating so much hate for so many people anymore." I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. My
Like,
husband, so like
oh,
total side note, my husband really wants a Tesla. He's wanted a Tesla for years, but only
yeah,
within the past, like since the presidency, really, has he been
yeah,
like, I don't know if I really want, like he's kind of had an idea of maybe he wants a Rivian or a Lucid because they're both electric vehicles as well. And he's
yeah.
kind of like thrown that out there, but within the past 6 months, he's definitely like, okay, I don't really like that guy, so I don't know if I want a Tesla anymore. So yeah, I get it. It's crazy.
And like totally, I am a believer of put your money where your
Yeah,
heart is, where your beliefs are, all that kind of stuff. But lady, you've already bought the car.
you already
You
have
do
the car.
not need to lose money over
No,
this. If people literally see you as a symbol of hate, like there's
that's on
something
them.
fucking wrong. Like
Hmm.
that is just unbelievable. Like
Hmm.
there's so many companies that we buy things from that we have no clue what's going on behind closed doors, who's the
Mm.
people that are the founders, the CEOs, and what's happening. And it's just like I love the idea of buying local and buying from farmers and like, caring. But like at the end of the day, I'm gonna buy from Amazon too because
Yeah.
life sometimes needs to be easy,
And
you know?
sometimes it needs to be quick. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And so, like, yes, I try to support local and I try to be conscious of things like that. But there's also a very good balance where I don't.
Mhm.
And um, sometimes I don't like that. Like,
Mhm.
sometimes I don't like the fact that I make money from promoting things on Amazon. Like, to put completely honestly, sometimes it bothers me. But at the end of the day, like, the world does have to go around. Or even
Mhm.
just like, being a vegetarian. My bird just got killed by a raccoon, and I'm like destroyed and heartbroken. And my partner's like, that's the circle of life.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And like, so they're just like, everything isn't always feel good, perfect, wonderful. There's a lot of things that are bad, there's a lot of things that are good, and there's probably more than anything else, a lot of misperceptions of everything,
Absolutely.
which
Yeah.
is what talking with strangers is about.
Yeah. And
So,
what is going on between the tariffs in Canada
yeah.
and the US? Like, there's just a lot of misconception because
Yeah.
the United States, the people of the United States, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I
Yeah.
literally had no idea that everybody in Canada thought that I was ready to go up and fight them. Like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it sucks for you. I'm not gonna lie, like that I wouldn't like having extra things that I had to pay either, but I don't know what else I can do about it, and being upset like that isn't gonna change anything. So
No.
yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
and to me, like, if the government actually cared, like, take away the taxes.
Yeah.
Our taxes are 30% right now and about to go up.
Yikes.
And the tariffs are 25%.
Yikes.
Like,
Yeah.
cut back the tax.
Come
And
back
then
something. Yeah.
over Christmas they removed taxes, federal
Mm.
taxes. And for 1 month. And I'm like, well, like, can we see some like real change? Like, I don't know, like we're going up in arms against the wrong person. We need to get the truckers back on the
Yeah.
government and like getting the government in order. Like to
Yeah.
me, as a Canadian, I view Trump as taking care of his own, and
I mean,
we're
I
not.
would agree that Trump is that is how he works. Like he's taking care of
Yeah.
his own, and that
And he's
it means United States and everybody else by
yeah.
kind of thing. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
And I don't think that there's like anything really wrong with that of him taking care of his own. And
Mhm.
he's put out an olive branch that we can be part of him too.
I know
So,
that's so funny. And Canadians, I have heard this that Canadians are like, we don't want that. We don't want to be
yeah,
American.
they're not 100% I'm in.
I
100%
know
I'm
you
in.
are because you're like, I don't want to live in the cold for the rest of my life.
Well, that's like the cherry on top. But
Hmm.
like we are closer to a dictatorship
I
communist
know.
country.
Yeah.
And we are being taxed, we are being censored, we have a loser leadership, like 100%. Like our leadership is
But he's
awful.
stepping down, yeah? Did I hear
He
that?
has,
He
yeah,
has,
he's
yeah.
gone, but like I'm still not a liberal.
Mm.
So, like Aubrey, my daughter, actually, she's 10, and she's like, "Aren't you excited that Trudeau's gone?" And I'm like, "No, we still have the Liberal Party. Like, we still have the same people. Like, it's a lot more of a like group effort in Canada. I don't know how much your politics work, but like, um." Our prime minister doesn't call the shots.
Mm.
It's everyone has to vote in like all the different people. So yeah, him being gone isn't going to change much other than people hate him for like his personal life choices a little bit more than the new guy, but it's still the same party. We still need an election. We still need to get them out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I don't necessarily have an answer either because we do talk all the time about like the new world and
Mhm.
increasing the energy of the planet. What does that
Yeah.
look like when I don't know that there's an ever we're done? I'm putting that in quotations because I don't think you can ever be done. There is no
Yeah.
end to love. Like there is none, period, end of
Yeah.
story. Whenever I think, so every time I go to a meditation retreat, I have a new experience with love. And I'm like, wow, I never knew it was like that. But every time I go and either meditate or go to one of those retreats and have like this profound experience, I'm like, okay, there is more. And even like I talk about Dr. Joel all the time, but like he will say too from stage the same thing that he's like, I thought that that was it. I thought that that was the end of love. And then I had a bigger experience and I went, nope, that's not the end. There's more. So all that to say, I don't know what a air quote perfect government would even look like. Does it even exist? Is that even a
I
thing?
don't think
I mean, I don't think so either, but what does that look like? I don't
yeah.
know. And I don't think anybody could answer that question. I can
Mhm.
guess. I can say,
Yeah.
well, I think in a high vibration, everybody would be working together. But
Yeah.
you still can look around at the people that aren't necessarily like, there's a lot of high vibration people right now. And then
Yeah.
there's a lot of low vibration people too.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, what do we do about that? Right? Like, because it's the low vibration that continues the anger, hate, frustration, all the things, you know? So it's like, what do we do with that? Right? So will that always exist? Probably not in the same form. Will
Yeah.
we continue to up level? Absolutely. But what does that look like? I don't think anybody could really answer that question at the end of the
No.
day. So
Yeah. I don't think our level of awareness is there yet,
yeah.
And so I think that as we up level collectively and like do reach higher levels of vibration, the lower levels of vibration can't coexist with that. And so they will up level or they will pass away. And the hard thing about it is there's a lot of people that are quote unquote good, but they have low level a vibration. Like one
Absolutely.
of the best people that I know passed away at a fairly young age. Um, and but she was terrified. She
Yeah.
was so kind out of people pleasing
Yes.
fear.
Oh my God,
And so that's
yes.
a very low vibration.
Low. Yeah.
And because of my personal situation with my children dealing with their biomother, which is also very low vibration, we have situations where me and my partner will talk, and he's like, "Well, the good people don't win. The good people die young, and all that kind of stuff." And I'm just like, "That's not how it
That's
works.
not how it
It's
works.
it's the thing that like the people pleasers don't win. The
Yeah.
people pleasers die young because they are putting their body into such havoc
Fight or
that they
flight.
can't function.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The bad people, they one, sometimes people just don't give a shit and they're quote unquote bad, but they aren't full of fear, you
Mm-hmm.
know? They're not
Exactly.
full of that low vibrational fear energy. They might be self-serving.
Yeah.
So it's a middle ground. It's not a
Yeah.
low vibration.
Right.
And so that's the hard part there is that our perception of good or bad isn't the same as high vibration and low vibration.
100%. Yeah. And I look at, so I'm totally going to go back to the Christian church. I'm sorry, Christians, if you're listening to this, but this was my experience. Like, this is how I saw it. Even when I
Mhm.
was in the church, and even now that I'm out of the church, I see it even more too. Cause it's like
Yeah.
Christians would be, like, be kind to other people, but then they go home and they're hypocritical or they're scared of everything. Like
Yeah.
I think of just experiences I've had with people that are like, oh, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but then they're afraid to start a new business, right?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like you're missing something there. Like that's a low vibration when you're sitting in a place of fear, anxiety, overwhelm. And I'm not
Yeah.
sitting here trying to judge anyone either because I have been there too. I have
Yeah.
been there probably today if I was to really look at myself, where I've had a thought of fear or overwhelm or guilt or whatever, like we all do it. But the question is, do you want to stay there? And for how long do you want to stay there? Because that's part of the density of this 3D reality, right? So I was listening to like actively listen because I don't normally actively listen to what Dr. Joe says on his meditations. I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah, I get that.
yeah, okay. So I was actively listening to what he was saying for one of them, and he was talking about how I'm going to totally butcher what he says, but this is
Mhm.
this is my paraphrase of it. How this 3D reality, the gravity, like literally gravity is what condenses us into the 3D reality, right? It makes us heavy in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And more heaviness comes when we live in those lower, he didn't say all this, but this is just me continuing the thought, right? More heaviness comes when we stay in those lower frequencies because we get heavier from the
Yeah.
gravity pulling us down, right? So those lower level frequencies of having a thought of anger, frustration, overwhelm, anxiety, I don't care, put it in there, whatever word you want, makes us more dense at the end of the day, right? It makes us more matter trying to change matter. And Dr. Joe will say this, matter trying to change matter. There's not really like, you have to work on Newtonian physics with that one. You have to
Mhm.
work in this, like the rules of this world. Whereas when you start to up level and you start to go, you know what? I can look at my situation right now and I can go, instead of feeling frustration, anger, whatever you want to put there, living in survival, what if instead I said to myself every time I noticed this happening, you know what? It always works out better for me than I could have ever imagined in the first place. And the more you do that, the more you put yourself into a lighter feeling. You feel less heavy, right? I mean, everybody describes the feeling of love, peace, joy as feeling lighter. It's
Yeah.
because you're raising that vibration. You're not as heavy. You're not pulled down by gravity as much, right? Like you're not being condensed into a matter trying to
Yeah.
fix matter. Now you're connecting with a higher source,
Mhm.
quantum, God, the universe. I don't care what you call it. It's the same goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So, but that, like listening to him explain that in the meditation, I was like, yeah, it's the gravity of this universe, and it makes us heavier depending
Mhm.
on how we think and how we feel. It's wild.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I think that is like the scary thing about like media and all this kind of stuff. And like I know I enjoy getting into the weeds a little bit more than you do,
mm,
but like if you get too much into the weeds, it's too heavy.
that's why I don't
It's
get
way
into
too
the
heavy.
weeds. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's too much. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do anything about that if I
Yeah.
stay heavy. So
Yeah.
I can't sit here. I got to do something different. So
Yeah. And
hard.
like part of me feels like, and this might be a justification, I don't know. Part of me feels like I want to know to be like a catalyst of that awakening, of that raising of vibration, of all that kind of stuff. And part of me just likes it. Like I've always
Sure.
been really intrigued by it as well.
You're
And
allowed to
so,
like watching a car wreck. It's cool.
oh, for sure.
You're allowed. I'm
So,
not going to stop that from you.
yeah. But you have to like gauge yourself,
Hmm.
And it's the same with everything.
Yeah.
Like really, like the whole Tesla thing is like people are burning the cars down,
Hmm.
It's like people burning Harry Potter books.
Oh
Like
man, yeah. Mm.
I can't wrap my head around that. Like I don't understand how that is achieving anything, you know?
Yeah.
And even like, so I saw a post. So Kevin O'Leary, most people probably know who he is. He's Canadian, but lives primarily in the States because he's a successful business guy and everyone wants to be in the States if they're successful. And so, or that's just my random perspective.
I was
And
gonna say I don't know if everybody does.
no, that's just my personal thoughts on it. And so he was saying that, yeah, we should kind of take Trump's offer. I don't think he meant like completely become like your next state and be ruled by him. But he's like, yeah, we should like kind of knock our borders down and have similar ways of taxing. And I saw this
I
from
think that
someone
could be
else saying what he
so
said.
good
Yeah.
for potentially both parties, you know?
Yeah.
I don't
We have
know.
so many resources, and
Yeah.
that's why Canadians are like hell to the no because we have more resources, and he wants our very lucrative, our country.
Yeah.
But we don't have the leadership to actually be able to utilize our lucrative country.
Mm,
And like my province is one of the most lucrative provinces, and I get penalized for that.
mm,
And so that's where people that understand business and understand money, it's like having the US connected to us would be a very good thing. Like it would
yeah.
make both places stronger, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um,
If
there are
Canadians heard you
downsides,
right now,
yes.
they probably would be like, "Ooh, girl, get off the stage." But
Yeah, my grandma will be about to disown me.
but I don't think you're wrong from a business sense. Like
Yeah.
truly, and you and I are
And
very entrepreneurial, business minded, and we're
yeah,
looking at, let's be honest, both of us look at the money a lot because we're like, how can it be the most lucrative for everybody? So,
yeah. And I think, and so yeah, like we don't have to have a passport to go to there. We don't
yeah.
have to stay there for so long. And so this person was saying, oh, Kevin O'Leary just wants this for selfish reasons. And it's like, well, yeah, there's selfish reasons for both sides,
Yeah.
you know? And there's not really a lose that I can see. Like unless we get really bad leadership in,
Mm,
um, where they don't preserve our like land, like that would be the only downside I can see. But you guys preserve your land too, and
yeah.
we're doing a pretty shit job at preserving our land ourselves. So, yeah, and then there's the people that say, well, Trump is a womanizer, awful person. And I'm like, yes, but if we were to collectively come together, that's less diversity as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So
at
I
the
don't
end of
really
the
see a negative.
day, I remember being a Christian and everybody being like, "Oh, one world government is scary and it's the worst." And I didn't understand why then, and I still don't understand why now,
Mhm.
because why can't we all work together? That
Mhm.
is literally, if you read the Bible, like they're living in societies where they all worked together. Like
Yeah.
somebody needed something and somebody gave it to them. Like,
Yeah.
why do we need to be one against the other? There does not need to be diversity. There doesn't need to be one country against another. There doesn't need to be war and hate and all the things that create more density in this universe. So
That, holy cow, just sparked a whole new thing
I guess we're going
in
to talk
regards to
about that on
the
the next one.
Tower of Babel. Oh man, interesting.
What, say that last part again? I missed it.
Like with the Tower of Babel?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep. 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 I mean, we can continue talking about that for sure because there's a lot that goes into that whole concept too.
Yeah.
Because like you look at things that happen in the Bible, and I don't sit here and go, "Oh, I need to live the way that they did," like I used to, but there's still like history rhymes with itself.
Yeah.
Things will come in circles. Just to, like, I look at my own life, it happens the same way where my life will rhyme, where it's like, okay, I think I got that figured out, and then something else that's similar but different at the same time, but it's the same concept that I need to continue to work on a deeper level, shows up in my life. Same thing
Yeah.
with history. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, the Bible, there is a lot of historical facts that are off, but there are also a lot of historical facts that it's like, okay, yeah, we need to continue to look at that as being an important thing too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I watched a deep dive rabbit hole TikTok this weekend, I believe it was, on um how we're not creative human beings. And
not creative.
no, like we remake the same kinds of movies and the same kinds of music
Oh, I
and like
see. Okay.
and so yes, we create as humans,
Yeah.
but we're not using imagination.
Got it.
And holy cow, like all those little connections just completely came together in a really crazy way, which is like probably really, really rabbit hole-y even for you. Because I know
I
I'm like way off the deep end.
I'm really intrigued though. So we're going to continue with this conversation for sure.
Yes. Yes. So, but yeah, I can't start because it's like a
Yeah, we'll
lot
we'll get
in
too
my
far.
head.
Yeah. So I guess with that, we're gonna call this episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want a wrap. So friends, if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe. And let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. And then if you're listening on your favorite podcast host, give us a 5-star and same thing. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. And of course, stick around with us for the next episode because we're gonna talk about more of what we just talked about right now. So it's going to be fun. So we'll see everyone next time on TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Thanks so much for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue hanging out with us and don't forget to subscribe.